Hey everyone, welcome to my latest video, and as the title suggests, I am going to show you what is in my drawers. Are these drawers? After my last video where I organised the whole craft area, I decided that some people might be interested in the finer details of what is in the drawers and how I organise everything, so I have done a close-up of that. It turned out to be a longer video, so it is split into 2, possibly 3 parts at the moment, so we'll see how we go, and I hope you enjoy. For this episode, I'm going to show you what is in this side, which is generally my Etsy shop. So all things that have been made and that are going up or are up for listing on Etsy or eBay. And then on this side, this is generally my supplies drawers and tools. So I've got all my different tools, supplies for making the things that are in the Etsy shop drawers, and then there's other supplies at the top, but that is what I'm probably going to put into the next video. In the first drawer I have my cotton reel keyrings and my angel keyrings. On this side, the reason the angel keyrings are split up is because here and here I have all individual angels, so they're all sold separately, everyone is unique. In this section I have my best friend angel keyrings, so you've got one for you, one for a friend, so every one of these is duplicated. And then in this section I have my bridesmaids gifts or wedding favours, and that consists of a set of 4, a set of 6, a set of 8, a set of 10 and a set of 12. So those are all there, so I can find them easily. I will be restocking the cotton reel keyring soon because I have space, and 2, they are just continuing to sell really well. In the second drawer from the shop, I've got my Guardian Angel zipper pulls, or phone bling, or whatever you want to refer to it as. They're up in my Etsy shop. I've then got my Guardian Angel jewellery, and that consists of earrings and necklaces. Again, they're up in my Etsy shop. These sections I haven't got listed anywhere. I used to take these to craft shows with me, but I think I'm going to put them up on eBay, and they are just charms with a little bit of a Swarovski crystal, just add a little bit of bling. So I think I'm going to list those on eBay. These ones are little fairy earrings, and I've got those in all different colours. And then at the back here I've got kind of like kilt pins which have got charms and beads and things on, and again I think I'm going to list those on eBay just because I don't think they're Etsy worthy. So then in the last sections I've got my bottle cap key rings. I've got some that are in larger packets and larger sets. And then I've got some spare ones that aren't listed anywhere at the moment, and these ones are listed on my Etsy shop, and they consist of all sorts of designs and things just to add to any bunch of keys really. In the third drawer from the shop I have my book keyrings, so those are for first wedding anniversary, so I've got those there. And on this side I've got my sand and seashell pendants, and they're set in resin. So I've got those are all listed up on Etsy. These used to be listed on Etsy, but they are Christmas stock, so they're here for storage. And then these little cute Santa Claus brooches were on display at the local hotel, and they're back here for storage for the moment until next Christmas. And in the final drawer of the shop I have got my spare dividers in case I ever need to organise any of the other drawers or add bits and pieces. I have a bag of key rings, and they're all very large glass beads, and I am working on a project to reutilise these because this is something else that I had that I would take to craft fairs with me, and these are the leftovers, so I'm going to reutilise the beads on these in a project. I've then got my dolly peg angels that are a Christmas decoration but can be had around the house all year round. These are available on eBay because I just want to try and get them sold. I've then got some other bits and pieces that have been listed on my Etsy shop and are left over. I may put them onto eBay or they will just stick around until next year. And then finally I had a whole load of bracelets of all varying designs. These are my button bracelets. I've got others on the side that I'm working through and then they'll go back into this drawer, but these are all listed on eBay now, as will all the others once they put back in here. So this is the first drawer out of the second unit, and for some this is going to be the most interesting because it is the drawer where I've got all the tools and all the accessories that I use to make the things that are in the shop. So let's have a start here, and we've got drill bits, lots of different drill bits and grinding bits for various jobs. And then here I've got the drills that I use, and they're hand drills, and I've got 3 of them because I've got 2 with the standard drill bits that I use attached so that I don't have to faff keep changing them over. It just makes working a little bit speedier. And then I've got a 3rd one that I use for other bits when I need it. In these boxes I've got some older projects that just didn't quite work out, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with them yet. So generally if my nieces or nephews come round, they can come up here and they find a little trinket and they kind of take it off my hands for me. And then in the second box I've got bits and pieces that don't really fit anywhere else. I've got tiny little spirit levels, I've got glue tips, I've got my knife blades, I've got a bit of string, I've got a dental tool because that's handy to clean things at times. I've got a bit of wire, I'm not sure where it's come from or why. I've got little pegs, all sorts of little bits and pieces in here that again I just didn't want flying around in the rest of the drawer, and if ever I need anything I can come here, have a look and see what I've got. Then we've got my glues and tapes and sticky things. So I've got some E6000, I've got some Gorilla Glue, I've got some Sew All tacky fabric glue, I've got some Scotch tape, and then I've got a couple of lighters because they always seem to come in handy for things. Then I've got, blue tack, it kind of should be in the sticky bit drawer. And then I've got display items, so these are teeny tiny pins that I use for all sorts of jobs when I need them. Then we move on to all my pliers, and in this section I've got my flush cut pliers, I've got my mandrel pliers, and my memory wire cutters. They're stronger than normal cutters. I've then got my silicone or rubber tipped tools. So I've got some flat jaw silicone pliers, and I've got some round nosed silicone pliers, and then I've got my bracelet bending pliers so that I can get a nice shape on any bracelets that I make. Then these are probably all my most used tools, these zebra print handle ones. So I've got 2 pairs of cutters here, standard cutters and some pointy tipped cutters, and then I've got 2 pairs of round nose pliers. And then these by far are my most used 3 sets of pliers. So I've got some bent nose pliers there, I've got some thin tipped pliers and some square jaw pliers, and these I use all the time. These are my go-to tools. On the back here I've got all my rolls of wire of varying colours, sizes, all sorts of wires. I get most of my wire from the Scientific Wire Company, and to start with I just got the sample packs so that I can work out which ones I'm going to use the most. So once I know which wires I'm happy with and which wires I'm going to use, I then get a bigger roll of them because it's just more cost effective that way. Then in this last section I've got my hole punching kit, and this consists of a hammer, just a little hammer. I've got a little hole punch here which has got a different sized punch on either end. Then I've got a pointy tool that's useful for all sorts of jobs. I've got a nylon block, a cutting mat, and then I've got hole punches of different sizes so that I've got a hole punch for most jobs that I need to do. At the back here I've got more cutting and hole punching devices. I've got my crocodile here, and this is a tool that I use quite a lot, and that's because it's a single hole punch, but I can go quite deep into a piece of paper, so it's just more usable than your average hole punch, and also it's more solid and I can go through as many bits of paper that will fit into that gap. I've then got my standard utility knife. I've got a standard individual hole punch, and then I've got a couple of specialty hole punches. This one puts a curved corner and a flower into corners of cards, so I use that for display purposes. I've then got two hole punches that I use for different jobs. One is slightly bigger than the other. I think this is an inch wide. Yeah, that's an inch. And that's actually 1.25 inches. I use this one for cutting out patterns to put into my bottle cap keyrings, and then this one I use for cutting out the stickers that I put on the back of my packaging. As you've just seen, I have a metal ruler in here, and then I've got a digital caliper, so I use this for all sorts of things. At any point I need to measure a bit of wire to know how thick it is. I just bring out the caliper. And this again is one of my more used tools. I have a set of pliers here which twist wire, and they just make twisting a hell of a lot of wire a hell of a lot easier. And then I've got my wire twisting mandrel. If I'm wanting a lot more wire, or I'm wanting some jump rings, I use this, and I also use this in the making of my cotton reel key rings. In the second drawer from my maker unit are my supplies for making the bits and pieces. I'm sorry about the glare there. I'm just going to put a bit of card so it's not so obvious. And I've got 7 trays of charms. And I'll just bring them up so you can see. So I've got a tray of hearts, bead caps, and a couple of other bits, keys, and a few spare fairy wings that won't fit into any of the other boxes, butterflies, and leafy type things and natural things. That's how I've kind of categorised this tray. So I've got flowers and leaves and trees and bugs and birds, sea themed charms, and other animals and living things, so like cats, dogs, elephants, turtles, so bits and pieces like that. More masculine themed charms, so I've got skulls, I've got tools, cars, and then I've got a few other bits and pieces here. So I've got pairs of scissors, some glasses, pizzas, and horseshoes. Christmas charm tray, and it's at the bottom of it all at the moment because it is the least used, but I've got snowmen, trees, snowflakes, Santas and deers. You have to be careful with these trays because they are a little bit flimsy, and depending on how much I overload them they can bend, and also they will flick against the side of the unit and each other, so sometimes I find the charms in all sorts of places, but for the whole it works brilliantly. I've got a couple of odd bags of charms that I need to find homes for. Then on this side I have my boxes of beads, and these 2 boxes I generally class as my angel making kit because I've got the body beads in this side, so all sorts of colours and shapes and sizes. And then this box are the heads of the angels and their wings. So you can see lots of different sized and coloured heads and lots of different sized wings and different designs. These boxes I found very recently. In one of my previous videos I gave you a quick overview of all these drawers and they were all a little bit of a mess. So I went over to one of my local shops and I came across these and they fit absolutely perfectly, and I've been able to get rid of all the junky bits in the middle of these drawers. In the third drawer from the Make unit I have all my cottons and threads, and again I've used these fantastic boxes and organised them so that I can see at an instant what colours I've got. So I've got all sorts of colours there. These are my most oldest threads, if that's a sentence, and then I've got lots of like little offcuts that I find handy for all sorts of jobs, so I've organised that in that. And then my newest collection of threads are a little bit more mishmash, but I've managed to fit them all in, generally in their colour categories. So I've got blues, pinks, greens, beiges, purples, oranges. So that works in that box, as you can see. And I generally use these threads for my cotton reel key rings and my worry dolls. On this side, this box is all my fixtures and fittings. So I have my necklaces, all the different sizes necklaces, my jump rings, key ring attachments, eye pins, all sorts of things. There's my key rings. Anything that's used to finish a product is in here. And finally I have this one, which is my bottle cap keyring or setting in resin box. So I've got all sorts of stickers there that I use. But then generally I've got my seashells, my bottle caps, and anything else that I might use to set in resin and to create other bits and pieces. This is the final drawer in my Maker set of drawers, and it probably looks a little bit hodgepodge, but I know where everything is. So, and again, it has been tidied up from the previous video where it was just all over the place. So I have a set of marker pens, some cleaning cloths, because you never know when you might need them, quilling papers, leather offcuts, card cut-offs, paper cut-offs, and then in this box is all my quilling papers. Again, one of these really amazing boxes that I found that fit in the drawers. So that's all my quilling papers, and I've got my quilling tools down here and the pins I use to just make sure everything's in place. I've also got my book keyring inserts in here because I thought it'd keep them nice and tidy. And then on this side I've got more tools of the trades, and that includes some bookbinding tape, masking tape, hot fix gems, fix tool, engraving tool, heat gun, quilling boards, cocktail sticks, forms, swimming tray and comb. In the back here I've got feathers. They're just random and I don't want to store them anywhere else, so they're just neat and tidy in here. So yeah, for a drawer that looks quite messy, this is the drawer that is kind of the leftovers drawer. It's the drawer where it's all the objects that don't really tend to fit anywhere else. As I first suggested, it has turned into a longer video than I anticipated, so please keep your eyes peeled for part 2, possibly part 3. They will be up as soon as possible.